Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you on a man. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind, head out to show, all Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you on a land. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's a whole new year. It's a whole new year. Apparently filled with the same strange issues that the last one was filled with. Because I don't know. Mars and I were just discussing that sacrifices clearly need to be made to the streaming gods. To clear up this year. Here's a heads up for everybody. I've let Mars know, and I'm going to let all of you know. I had no internet or cable all morning long. Literally came back 10 minutes before the show because I'm at the southern portion of Winter Storm 2025. Unlike my friends in LA who were part of Firestorm. I wish I could have dumped this snow on them and maybe it would have helped. I don't know. But yeah, so if for some reason the stream show cuts off, I will do my best to come back, but all that means is I will go check my router because I have no control over the weather and what it does to cable lines. We are here today though for Wintershield. We need a shield for this winter. Wintershield 2025 Part 1. I know Wintershield started last week, but hey, we were still off on the winter break. So we're going to cover Eric, the Cavalier, Mahen, the Dragonborn fighter of the Brimstone Angels family, and a couple of the Flex champions. And then next week we will cover the rest of the Flex champions because there's just too much to cover in one episode. I try to get everything in one, and it just it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. But hey, as you may have noted, Mars is with me today in the mod pod. Mars is going to be grabbing your questions from chat as long as you put question : like it shows down there in the little white box. So throw your questions into chat about Wintershield, or honestly any non-dev related questions. Because I am not one of the game developers. I am a guy that makes guides for that over on the subreddit. And I've been doing that for 7 years. So I'm here to answer. I can answer, questions about systems and champions and that kind of stuff, but I don't do any of the developments. So yeah. All right. We're diving in. So if you are brand new, and we have new players joining all the time, hello everybody. Then normally you're dealing with like, hey, the Sword Coast map and unlocking adventure nodes there. But then, and in the top of the campaign banner looks like this, right here on the left. But then an event pops up and it takes precedence. It's like, hi, I go to the top. Boom. You click on that, you get there's one adventure node for the event, and all of the champion unlocks and everything will show up here. Whatever you have unlocked for Wintershield. I have only unlocked, just because I was waiting to demonstrate, I've unlocked Eric and Mahen and done their content. But if you click right over here on the Wintershield thing, you'll see all of the fun event UI stuff going on here. So Eric is the new champion, Mahen is the rework champion. Then you get flex slots. So named because who you unlock in them is flexible. The first one is utterly and completely free. The second one takes some time gate pieces. The third one takes 3 time gate pieces. It will take 3 time gate pieces. And the last one is a cash purchase. I did make a cash purchase this event. I have 1 boon. This comes from cash purchases. I bought an Eric thing because, yeah, with my platinum that I've been saving up from logins. So yeah, so this is the event UI. You can see you earn snowflakes during this event. The snow falls, you pick it up as you kill enemies anywhere in the game. There's 1 every 25 seconds. There's no way to speed that up. If you want more snowflakes, then open bounty contracts. Bounty contracts come from gold chests in the game, gold and platinum chests. And supply chests, but you don't really see those that often. You pop those bounty contracts and it gives you these event tokens. And for this event, it's snowflakes. And then you can use these to buy gear packs for the event champions that you've accessed already in the regular shop. That is their sole purpose and sole reason for existence. If you pay cash for things, like I did, so it's like maybe something from one of these, it comes with a boon, and these boons this time around are magnified. So you can see they've marked off what the normal power is, and it's either everywhere from double up to 8 times as strong, depending on how many boons you get. Standard set of boons is basically like potion buffs, but they're permanent. You can turn them on and off. I've got some toggled for Briv gem farm reasons. But normally you might just want all those on if you're trying to do stuff in the event. And then the active augments this time around, these are things that they put in to kind of modify the event, make them a little unique in terms of their rewards. The first one is the boon enhancements that buffs up the boons. Second one is empowered rewards. So if you're doing tier 2 or higher variants, which we'll discuss here in a moment, you also can get rewarded corrupted gems on top of what normally comes from them. Corrupted gems are used in the Thayan Enclave in the shop. So limited time purchases, limited number of items in the Thayan Enclave every rotation. Those rotate every 2 to 3 months, somewhere around there. The other is improved weekly offers, which is the weekly offer system is in the part of the cash shop, and it rotates different goodies. I'll show you that in a minute. But they have different rarity of discounts. So this is supposed to be rare or better with better odds of the higher rarities. And then Worth the Wait gives Mahen, because he's reworked, they're giving him double chests for the event, for doing his stuff. Tiers of content, as you can see, I've got stars here. There are 4 tiers of content in the game. As you complete them, we're going to be doing variants for champions. Each champion has 3 variants per tier. They're the same rules, like the same restrictions for each tier. That's just the area goals get higher and higher. So when you start off, tier 1 has lower goals, tier 2 has higher goals, tier 3 much higher, tier 4 much higher. So you end up at area 1200, 1400, 1600 to clear. But you're starting off at like area 75, area 125, area 175. Tier 1 is for basically brand new players. Tier 2 is for people who have what I call early game power. You may be in the early game, or you just may have gotten some chest packs with some purchases and have accrued kind of the equivalent power of early game. Tier 3, kind of mid game power. Tier 4, in late game power. In my guides for champions, I put there's a little table underneath, down underneath all the event stuff for that champion that kind of gives you an idea of like what does that kind of power mean based off Bud, like how much damage are you able to do. That's kind of a function of that, and it's based off for each of these variants and each of these tiers how much health the boss roughly has, just base health before any modifications. So it gives you an idea of what kind of power you need to get there. So you can find that in my guides. What else we got for the champion? You can see all their stuff, including their achievement stuff here. Track your progress, see what your item levels are. Mine might be Eric. I've got to figure out a new way to gear up my brand new champions, because the old way has made him very, 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 very strong. Very strong. Every champion's going to be like that, with you tracking. As you complete an entire tier, you can... it will give you a star. It goes white, green, blue, and purple. And there is a function and functionality for this called multi-tier. It used to be an augment, but now it's just a part of the game. Where if you could go all the way to tier 2 and you could just do it in the first run of the first variant, it'll show you the goals, and you can just go straight there. So you can do 3 runs, one for variant 1, one for variant 2, one for variant 3, and clear multiple tiers at once. If you know your power, you can get it done. You can get it done. All right. What was I going to... Oh. So, for the augment, for the shop, this is what it is. Oh, I didn't... Man, my augments are way off. Reveal my offers. This is what it is. So, if you'll note, everything showed up blue, purple, and gold. These are actually free. I will take those. So, blue, purple, and gold. These kind of discounts can be just like in the game, white, green, blue, purple, or gold. So the augment that says better stuff, it has to do with this. It basically gives you discounts on things that would normally be in the shop. Some of them, like this blue looks to be about half price. Purple, well, it is half price. Purple 60%. This one was a gold for these regular chests was free. Yeah. You can also find event packs. So here's where you buy the event packs. You just come to the regular chest shop, click on the event champion, and up here is a slider where you can buy chest packs for the champion. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that for Mahen right now, because Mahen's rework was fantastic. We'll be talking about that shortly. And then the Thean Enclave, where you can spend your corrupted gems that you're earning during the event, is over here. And generally right up here, there would be support pigments. That's usually the main thing you want. Usually the main thing you want. Did they update this already? They did. Okay, there's bonuses. All right. We won't talk about that. All right. Events. So, what every champion, like here's Eric. This is Wintershield. That's the icon for Wintershield. This is icon for the Great Modron March, because that's where Mahen was from. Wintershield, every champion has their own unique formation layout. You can see Eric's here. No idea what that's supposed to represent, but right there. Mahen's is a heart, because he loves his daughters. It's a very difficult formation to push and progress in. It's awesome thematically, but functionally not that great. So if you've only unlocked these two and you're trying to figure out which one you should use to push for favor, up here at the top right, because you start at 0 every time. You push to earn favor. Eric's is going to be the better option for newer players. Oh, Mars says it's a griffin. It's the crest on his shield. Sure. I don't see it, but sure. I kind of see the head. Okay. All right. So each when you first come here, it's just going to be an unlock adventure. You only have to get to area 50 and it unlocks the champion. It's super easy. Literally anyone can do it. I have formations in my guides for the champions that can do it. They'll show you that'll work for brand new players with just the core champions. That's why I put those suggestions in there so that you know 100% that you can at least unlock the champions and do tier 1. Okay. The variants. Let's talk about Eric's. So, Cavalier, Prison Without Walls, and the Wrath of Avenger. So, Cavalier, Eric's, again, here's the tier goals, 75, 250, 600, 1200. You can see how it ramps up a lot. That's what you're looking at. Again, you can run. If you could get to 250, you can clear all of that in one run. Right? Eric starts in the formation. He can be moved, but not removed. This is because they're trying to get you to learn how to use the modern variants. Try to get you to use learn how to use the champion. Only champions in the front 2 columns and the back column can deal damage. That's because this is a function of how Eric works. It's one of his specialization choices. You have to decide: are we buffing the front column, or are we buffing the back, based off of like your placement and stuff. How are you going to do it? What spec are you going to choose? It's kind of teaching you that. We'll go over those in a bit. 1 to 2 Bullywig Spear Throwers spawn with each wave. They don't drop gold nor count towards quest progress. You can ignore them. It's not a big deal. The big thing here is just remember that your primary DPS either has to be in one of the front 2 columns or the very back. For a brand new player, it's easier to put them right up here in the second column. Otherwise, not really a huge restriction at all. The only thing is it might slow you down a little bit because these 2 columns aren't going to be doing damage. So early on, they're not going to be clearing any enemies. Just pop a Fire Breath Potion. You're fine. Prison Without Walls. This one is this Eric's step up in difficulty pretty solidly here. This one's going to be rough. Down here from the layout, we can already see we're missing 2 formation slots. There's going to be an NPC here. And they're parking Eric. That's what this C means. They're parking Eric in the back. He can't be moved. Okay. And it gets worse from there. Being down 2 formation slots is a lot of power. So you're gonna need favor, blessings, patron perks, Modron power, legend, something to push through further. If you're brand new, favor. If you're further on, the other stuff, because this is gonna be rough. In area 126 or higher, so after tier 1, so tier 2 and beyond, no tanking champions other than Eric can be added to the formation. And any other tanking champions that are already in the formation are automatically removed. So for tier 1, you can put tanks in the front. But beyond that, you don't get tanks. Why is this? This is unusual for this game. It's rare that they don't allow tanks. It happens. Eric has an ability that we're going to talk about shortly that he can double the strength of shields on champions. So what they're trying to get you to do is use shielders. You have one default, C5 Calliope. But you know, there are other shielders in the game, and they want you to use shielders to shield the frontline people, whoever you're putting in the front line. And then Eric's going to double those shields. That's all. That's what you got. That's what you got. All right. A transformed Lucian joins the formation. Doesn't do much in his curse form. Yeah, that's the escort that's going to be here. I thought this one, but just from reading the restrictions, I thought this one would be the hardest variant. I was wrong. I was able to do it. Again, I have shielders, I have the champions, I have power, whatever. But it ended up being this one, the Wrath of Avenger. Which are we discussing how to pronounce it in chat? Some people call it Venger, but in the show they say Avenger. As in, like, revenge, yes. Avenger. Here we go. Eric starts in the formation. He can be moved, but not removed. At the start of each boss area, Avenger arrives on his nightmare as an additional boss that must be defeated. And then comes the hard part. You may only use champions with an age of 20 or younger, who have a total ability score of 78 or lower, or who have the gold find roll. This restriction I didn't think was going to be that bad. I I was wrong. That's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. So yeah. You're gonna need a lot of extra power from other places because what you want to do is find a group that is, this is another specialization thing, that is just like try to focus on one of these setups. Yeah. It's interesting. Definitely interesting. Do your best, folks. Do your best. I'm seeing people saying what they did. That's great. It's great that you had certain setups that were built that had gear and legendaries to get all the way to 1600. But here's what I'm telling you. For 1600, if you don't have a set of legendaries, like level 5 legendaries or higher on one of these groups, like for a full team in one of these groups, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. All right, Mehen. Let's talk about Mehen stuff. Now, Mehen is an earlier year of champion, so not all of his variants are going to require him to be in it. So, the elusive bounty hunter, he starts in this formation. He's right here. It's where the C is. C for champion. I prefer C for cookie, but I don't get to decide what the C is for. C for champion. Mehen starts in the formation. He cannot be moved or removed. The Pixie arrives in each boss area to taunt Mehen, buffing all enemies so they move 100% faster and deal 100% additional damage. You must defeat her in addition to the area requirements to advance. I know this sounds scary for newer players, but honestly, it's really not that bad. 100% faster means they rush forward faster to die on your shields and swords, and the 100% additional damage in a game with large numbers isn't really that big of a deal. So don't stress too much about this if you're newer. The never-ending march continues, but it's January. Every time. What's worse is this would normally happen in May, and it's May. Every time a Modron is killed in a non-boss area, it shuts down for 5 seconds and then comes back to life with full health. We call this a Chumbawamba because it gets knocked down and it gets back up again because you're never going to keep it down. Modron enemies deal 100% additional damage. This one does not need Mehen. If you are someone who is looking to stack up, so basically I just want to say first off, if you're just trying to complete this, super easy, not a problem. This is not what I call a non-restriction. Doesn't change anything about your ability to complete this. But this is a great variant for people who want to build stacks on someone like Zorbu or Toragar or the Dark Urge, just to name 3, that require kills or hits on massive groups of enemies. And you're trying to basically we call it kill stacking, but it's not all about kills anymore because of someone like Dahani. Dahani also needs it. So basically you get a 5-second up down. What happens here is you functionally the way the game works is if you kill all of these Modrons, they stay on the screen and they keep getting back up again, and then the screen fills with Modrons, and then the regular enemies stop spawning because there's 100 Modrons on the screen, and you're AoEing them or something, hopefully, and they just fall up and down every 5 seconds. And you get credit for 100 kills or 100 hits every 5 seconds for these stacking champions. And once you get it set up, then you pop speed potions and farm millions of stacks. This is on a 5-second up down. I think the rest of the game is I think the best you can find in most places in non-variants in regular variants and non-events is like a 10-second up down. So 5 seconds is great for that. If you haven't finished this and you want to stack stuff up, this is where you go. Finally, Volo, that hack. Volo's Guide to Grumpy Guys. Volo's return to observe the formation. He goes right here at the top of the heart. Mehen starts in the formation. He can be moved, but not removed. Only male and non-binary champions can be used. That restriction is rough for newer players. It is. Yeah. It's even rough for like some mid-game players if they don't have these champions built out. Enemies move 100% faster, deal 100% more damage. Again, that's non-issue. So yeah, be careful with these. If you're doing Unlock and Eric and Mehen, It's a little rough. It's a little rough, I'm not gonna lie. They both have like Vola's Guide to Grumpy Guys and the Wrath Avenger. Pretty rough. Here's a tip. You don't got to do it right away. If you can't do all the tiers, like if you want to do all the tiers, you can't do all the tiers. Complete what you can, even if it's like, if you can only compare tier 1, complete tier 1. Do the rest of the event. Completing tier 1 gets you buffs. When you complete, I did not point that out. When you complete champions, you get stuff, you get rewards. So that top buff is the tier 1 buff. So if you get those for all of your champions and come back with a lot of buffs, the last week of the event, you might be able to go further then. Because you'll have accrued power from chests. You'll also have accrued power from these buffs you unlock. And if you're able to go into the higher tiers like tier 3, but you can't do tier 4, you'll unlock some feats. Those might help. Hens definitely help. So keep that in mind, right? Now, flex champions. Boom. Here are the flex champions available. We have Barrowyn, Neris, Artemis, Morgaine, Baloth, Viconia, Rust, Gosrick, Imoen, and Will. And for those of you counting, yes, it is one more flex champion than we've had in events since Events 2.0 started. Wild. Who am I going to flex? I already flexed Rust. They're complete. I'm going to flex Will with my free slot. This is how you do it. Boom. Now Will shows up out here. You can see tier 1 is I've completed that already because I unlocked him a long time ago. And in the olden days, back in my day, there was only tier 1. There was only one. There were only 3 variants. So I'll have to go back in and do stuff, and you can see gold chests, corrupted gems, buffs. They're all here. That is how you flex a champion. Now for the time gate piece slots, you have to have 3 time gate pieces. Fortunately, I have more than 3. And you'll choose, if you do the cash one, it is a free one, and you choose it like that. Now once you do that, you come back out here, it updates. You can see now their variants are listed here. Okay, that's how it works. We're gonna hop into Eric's formation, and we're gonna talk about some of these champions. Not a lot of the champions, because we don't have a lot of time, but we'll talk about some of them. Get out of here. Saved it. All right, here's the snowflakes falling. You can see them, folks. See? Killing enemies. So I know I said 1 every 25 seconds, but I want to point out this is a catch-up mechanic. If you have been doing something that isn't killing enemies, like I was sitting on the menu screen, the map screen, the game keeps track of how many you should have been earning. And then once you start killing things, it dumps them on you. That's why we're seeing a bunch of them here. So don't worry. You don't have to be killing constantly. You just have to be killing, and eventually it will show up. All right. Eric. 4. Yes. He's brand new. I got to remember. Mahan is in 3. Mahan, look. Mahan is the world's best dad. Number 1 dad. So this is for me, this is Mahan's default skin, and you're all just going to have to deal with it. You're all just going to have to deal with it. All right, Eric the Cavalier is from the Saturday Morning Squad from the 80s TV show. Male human fighter, neutral good, tanking, support, and gold roles. So he is a tank, he is a support, he is a gold find provider. His overwhelm is 25. That's a tanking stat. It basically means less than 25 enemies, he takes base damage. 25 or more, he starts taking increased damage. So when you see high overwhelms can allow you to tank more enemies before taking that bonus damage. Saturday Morning Squad is not a full affiliation yet. We're still missing Sheila and Hank, or Shank, as I like to call them. Combined. And you'll note Dungeon Master is not a part of this. He was in the show occasionally. He would show up and disappear. So he wasn't really the focus of the show, in the same way that both Strongheart and Warduke also were in the Saturday morning TV show. They don't appear here either. Forceful Bash is his main attack. It's melee. He knocks back the closest enemy with a hit from his shield. So he has a knockback. He flies out, whacks it with the shield, and it knocks back. The very first thing that happens is he chooses his spec choice. He is either cautious, brave, or sarcastic. I identify with this. of traits. For cautious, he increases the damage of all champions by an amount that scales with gear. Increased by 100% for each column they are in front of him, stacking multiplicatively. So multiplicatively stacking, that's the good way, folks. Also, pre-stack is also the good way. We like Eric. Eric does have some real strong abilities. So this means if you're going to choose that, he wants to be all the way back here, even though he's a tank. And then he wants 2 tanks up here in the front slot, and he's just going to buff, and he wants like a DPS here. Or you can try to be risky and put a DPS up here and shield them, right? That's the idea. With Brave, he wants to be in the front, and he wants your DPS all the way back here. But same thing, multiplicatively stacking, right? You would want to put the DPS all the way in the back. And this is going to be much better in stretched out formations. So formations with 5 or 6 columns. I don't know if there's 6. I think there might be 1 6-column formation in the game. 5, but sometimes there's 4-column formations, and it's going to be a lower buff because of how multiplicatively stacking works. Or you can get sarcastic, and then it becomes an adjacency buff, right? It's a little bit bigger for 1 stack. But remember, this one doesn't stack multiplicatively. So if you ever choose this, you're losing all of the multiplicative goodness. So you better be doing something with positional formation abilities if you're going to be throwing it into adjacency to make up for the lack of power. Okay. We'll choose Brave. Throw some more levels on him. And we will come back to that in a second. Cavalier's Code. This is his gold find. It does more than just gold find, but boy, does it find the gold. Eric increases the effect of his trait specialization choice, which is great, and the party's gold find, which is also great, by 20% for each enemy that is spawned in the current area. So the longer you're on an area, the bigger his buff gets, and the more gold he's going to find. It stacks multiplicatively, the good way, up to 100 enemies. Boss enemies, so if you're doing this on a boss area, it counts as 25. So the most stacks you can get on a boss area is 35, usually. Because usually you're only getting 10 trash mobs on a boss area, so 35 would be the max stack. However, there are rare bosses in this game that spawn infinite streams of trash mobs, in which case, it still should just count as 100 enemies, because it still should just stop ticking up at 100. So just understand how that works. This is a fantastic source of gold. In fact, if we come over here and we look, I have not leveled him up all the way. I have 100 stacks, and I'm at E12 gold find. That's, yeah, thanks. He's at level 470. It's gonna get better. So Eric is now a great addition. Eric can outperform with gear. Can outperform some gear and doesn't even need comparable gear. Can outperform your Jarlaxles for gold finds and your gold formations now, folks. Eric's a big deal. Shield of the Cavalier is the next ability. This is the health share, so he does a health share of 25% of his max health. This is also where you get those temp HP shields that get doubled. Okay, so that's under Shield of the Cavalier. Preferred target. This is either great or absolutely horrible, as I found out trying to do some of his variants. All ranged and magic attacking enemies target Eric before any other champion in the formation. He is a ranged and magic magnet. So if you are dealing with a boss, no matter where he is in the formation, if you're dealing with a boss or an area full of ranged or magic enemies, single target, they're only attacking him. Only him. Now there are some interesting things that you can create with this. For instance, if you're putting him all the way in the back and you have Krydle, you can put Krydle in the front. And Krydle reduces the damage of everyone behind him takes by 75%. That's wild. And so then all ranged and magic damage is going to Eric, and Eric's getting it, and Krydle's making it reduced by 75%. It's a neat combo. But if you don't have any kind of that protection, Eric is a single tank, even with a lot of health. He has nothing really to reduce damage. And those shields, even doubled, go away real fast. Double is not a big thing like we were talking about. Because that temp HP shield boost doesn't scale. He can fall over. He can fall over. Yeah, Rosie Bee Stinger is great for reflecting damage, and that allows you to put Rosie in the back. But yeah. It's just know he is a magnet for ranged and magic damage. Keep away. For the first 60 seconds in any area, Eric increases the distance of all knockback effects by 100%. This is a really odd ability for me. Because usually the first 60 seconds aren't when you want the knockbacks. It's usually after the boss has pulled up and is enraging, then you want longer knockbacks. So sure. No, this is linked to his achievement. So you can't just sit when you're trying to do his achievement. You can't just sit on an area like this. You need to progress through stages to ramp up his achievement. Like all of the other Saturday Morning Squad members, along with Strongheart, Eric is a scavenger, and he scavenges corrupted gems. So the things that are available in this event, he can scavenge up to an X amount. Currently at 6,350, while killing bosses. He has a 10% chance of scavenging 10, as long as he's not at the cap, and the cap goes up by 150 every day. 150 every day is from the day he was launched, not from the day you unlock him. So he just gets, it just allows you to earn more and more over time. I did some quick maths on this, and basically what this means is in between, after you've reached the cap, in between Thayan Enclave updates, like the emergence events, you're basically going to earn, you should earn almost enough to buy 2 support pigments every rotation, which is fantastic. Eric providing 2 free support pigments. Yes. Thank you. All right, second set of specializations. These are big ones too. Unassuming Force, Youthful Valor, Treasure Hunters. So this is that group. He's going to increase the traits by an amount that scales with gear, free stack. For each champion with and it's stacking multiplicatively. For each champion with the following type of restriction: total ability score 78 for Unassuming Force, age of 20 or less for Useful Valor, and gold find roll for Treasure Hunters. So whatever you're building around, you're basically just going to choose the largest number. I didn't do that because I'm not actually building a formation. Just to be clear. Wait, I'll just max them out. Should have enough gold. Come on, there we go. All right, so just know he has really strong pre-stack abilities, what I call mathematically overpowered abilities, because of the way they multiplicatively stack, and gear and feats, apply to the pre-stack value. That's the strongest type of ability in the game. Not all pre-stacks are created equal. All right, ultimate ability, Protective Shield. Eric's shield projects a powerful force field, dealing 1 ultimate hit to all monsters, so screen-wide pulse of damage, and then protects the champions from all damage for 10 seconds. That's a very strong... Oh, there's the Griffin. It's a very strong effect for a very short period of time, with a very long cooldown. So, yeah. I've got my cooldown reduction maxed. It's still 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a lot. All right, items. Damage all champions. Health, because tank. Here's first spec choices. Down here is second spec choices. These are big. These are the big ones. Especially this one. This one is pre-stack. This was a big pre-stack, and you can get a golden for it. That's why I bought that. Cavalier's Cold. This is the gold find. It also buffs his traits, but the big one is the gold find. So this is what you want to raise to make a lot more gold. And then ultimate cooldown. And let's go take a look at Cavalier's Code now that... Oh, stop progressing. We're gonna let Cavalier's Code ramp up, and we'll take a look at how big it gets now that he's fully upgraded. But yeah. When you each 21st. So if I look at Brave, just so you can see what Brave is doing, if we come over here and we look at Brave, I'm not even fully ramped up yet. We're in the E20s for buffage. Yeah, not bad. But again, we haven't even built off his formation building yet. So even without a formation of people that are going to help buff multiplicatively, he's thrown up in the E20s. Are we at 100 yet? There we are. So 179 E12 gold find. Oh, he doesn't get any upgrades for this. That's right. Never mind. So this scales completely with your gear. So mine is at E12 because of the gear. All right. Feat wise, kind of all the things you would expect. All champions damage for support roll, gold for the gold find roll, health for the tanking roll, health and overwhelm for the tanking roll. Then we've got Cavalier's Code, so if I wanted to boost the gold find, I would throw in one of these. Specializations, like the trait specializations. The second set, the one that multiplicatively stacks, that's the big one that you want. He's got an intelligence +2 feat. This qualifies him for Strahd. Doing patron Strahd stuff. All right, let's talk about Mehen. Mehen has been in the game for a long time, but he got reworked because his old system, it was a thing. It wasn't really great. He is from the Brimstone affiliations. This is his adopted daughters, Frida Havilar and him. That's why he has little slippers here. One has a purple heart, one has a blue heart. That's because Frida Havilar, their eyes are different colors. They have like different colored eyes, but they're both. Frida and Havilar are the Brimstone Angels. He's just part of that affiliation. Male Dragonborn fighter, neutral good, support gold debuff. Main attack is double strike. He leaps out and attacks a random enemy, swinging down and then up, scoring a hit each time. Normally, he would have his sword equipped, like he does in every other one of these, including this new Crystal Titan Mehen. This is a Titan of a bear, that they have scavenged the fossilized bones of and made power armor with. That is what this skin is. But in this one, he just swings his coffee mug. His ultimate got an update. Lightning Breath. Mehen breathes a cone of lightning that hits all enemies in the area. It did that before too. But this time, if it hits more than 5 enemies or a boss, which is the fantastic addition, it stuns all enemies for 10 seconds. So here's what it looks like. And it didn't do anything because there was only one enemy on the screen. That was great. Thanks. I love it when the game works with me. Mehen now has a passive ability called Always by Your Side. So when he is in the formation, Farida and Havilar can always join him. Always. This makes him much more functional to use. Before that was a spec choice that he could bring his daughters with him. Now he just brings his daughters with him. So wherever he goes, you have him as a support, you have Havilar as a tank, and you have Farida as a DPS. That is all Frida does. She is a pure DPS. So you are guaranteed to have, the trinity that you need to at least attempt to finish stuff. Grumpy is his main ability. And it is a big one, folks. This is a pre-stack, so this is a mathematically OP ability. Mehen gains a stack of Grumpy for each of the following checks that is met, and it doesn't tell you what they are. He increases the damage of all champions in the formation by an amount that changes based off your gear and your feats and applies to the pre-stack value. For each stack of Grumpy he has, stacking multiplicatively. Let's go over here. Here is the list. I have a couple feats in... No, I don't. Okay, cool. I took them out. Here's the list. There are 10 items on this list. He has feats that you can get by doing his tier 3 and tier 4 variants, so completing tier 3 and tier 4, that can each feat can add another item to this list. So technically he can get up to 12 stacks. Right? You have to build your formation trying to light up all of these things on the list. He does not start with these feats. Nicholas. Oh, you mean his default feats? Well, he starts with more than that. So you can ask if you have a question. Here we go. I'm getting distracted by chat. If you have a question for me, put question : in front of it. I will get to it when we get to the Q&A portion of the show. All right. So he needs to get all 10. You're going to need Farida and you're going to need Havilar, and they have to be placed in very specific places. Top of the column, 3 champions in the column in the columns. This is the important part. In front of him. 2 champions in the columns behind him. This doesn't mean directly in front or behind. It means all of them total. Adjacent to champions with an average base attack cooldown of 5 seconds or less. Just has to be, all of them that are adjacent to him have to have 5 seconds or less. Adjacent to at least 2 tiefling or dragonborn champions. At least 1 other tiefling or dragonborn in his column. Why does it say other? Because it doesn't want to count him. And you're going, but he's only a dragonborn. He has a feat that counts him as a tiefling because he is the adopted father of 2 tieflings. Not a glitch feat, to be clear. He just counts as a tiefling. Okay. Also, within 2 slots of champions with at least 4 unique classes, and within 2 slots of champions with at least 6 unique roles. The classes one, I get to light up easily. It makes sense to me. I'm still trying to figure out this 6 unique roles one. There are times when this one doesn't want to light up for me, and I switch a champion, but they have the exact same roles, and for some reason it works, and I'm like... So this one can be a little finicky at times. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put it that way. All right, intimidating presence. All of his abilities are dad abilities, by the way. Which I love it so much. So grumpy, dad. Intimidating presence. When a monster tries to attack any champion in the formation for the first time, the damage is prevented and the monster is stunned for 5 seconds and takes a bunch more damage during that time. He's like, I'm sorry, these people are with me. Right? If the attacked champion is his daughter, you're stunned for twice as long. And don't touch my daughter. Yeah. Gruff. Mehen increases gold find of the formation by an amount that varies with, oh my god, varies with gear and feats for every stack of Grumpy that he has, stacking multiplicatively. You heard that right, folks. This is a multiplicatively stacking gold find ability modifier with pre-stack modifiers. This is, I think this might be the first. We've had gold debuffers in Freely and Kroll that had pre-stack modifiers, but that's on a debuff. You have to kill them or do something that's like being killed to them, like Azaka, to get credit. This just straight up buffs this number at the top. Ridiculous. Potentially the best gold find champion in the game now. Because he can scale just with this item forever. Alright. Expose weakness. When a champion adjacent to Mehen applies a stun, it's adjacent to Mehen. It doesn't count for him. Because he's not adjacent to himself, is my understanding. When a champion adjacent to Mehen applies a stun, knockback, slower root, so any of the basic crowd control features, the enemy takes a bunch more damage for 10 seconds. If Farida is adjacent to Mehen, she prioritizes attacking those enemies. She's going to attack the debuffed enemy. That's fantastic. This debuff does not stack, but the duration is extended if it applies again before it expires. So he has multiple debuffs that he applies. That's his second one. So he has 2 different debuffs. They attack, and just when someone adjacent to him attacks with one of these crowd control effects. All right, spec choices. Fighting force, father figure, found family, fa-fa-fa-fa-fa. Fa-fa-fa-fa-fa-fa. Fa-fa-fa-fa-fa. Fa-fa-fa-fa-fa. There we go. These are all multiplicatively stacking abilities. They apply to the pre-stack value, though, or the post-stack value, excuse me. So it's not outrageous, but they are multiplicatively stacking themselves. So this is confusing. They themselves have pre-stack modifiers, but they are buffing Grumpy, and they buff Grumpy post-stack, but Grumpy is already a pre-stack. So Grumpy's already OP, and they couldn't apply another multiplicatively pre-stacking ability pre-stack to Grumpy. That would have been ridiculous. So know that these values do apply pre-stack, and they're great. He has so many good items. His itemization is fantastic, I have to say. So what you're looking for again, you're looking for these values differ. You're looking for certain numbers of things. I now have tables in all my champion guides where when you come to a spec choice like this one buffs. I think it starts off at 100%. This one's like 150, and this one's 300%, and then it scales with gear. I now have tables that show you like 1 through 10 or beyond, and the values for the base values, so that you can look at how, like, you've got 0, 1, and 1, right? Like, well, what should this be? That's easy. But like, if it's like 3, 5, and 7, or some different value, you can go to the tables. And you can look down. Okay, I have this of this. Here's what that value would be at the base value, because that's really all you need to compare it at. Here's what this one would be, and here's what this one would be, and you see which one's the biggest, and then you can pick it. So you don't have to do the math yourself anymore. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's helping me too. I've referenced them multiple times. Just know that, man, if you can get a lot of Dragonborn, that's the good stuff. That's found family. It's for each Dragonborn champion in the formation. Fried and Havilar both gain the Dragonborn species when this spec is chosen. So this one's great. This one's great. The first one, Fighting Force, is for for each DPS champion in the formation. So obviously this would be like if you have a lot of people that have DPS / support or / tank or whatever. This one is for 20 years or younger. But the big winner is Found Family. Yeah, it can get huge. There aren't enough Dragonborn in the game to do a full formation, but the numbers here can be huge if you want to build around it. If you want to build around it. He was pretty tame in power testing? Oh, he's pretty solid. Tame was Stokey. Stokey's like, Man's like, all right. That's it. Okay, item-wise, expose weakness. There's a debuff. His spec choices. Hey, that applies pre-stack to the spec choice, but then the spec choice post-stack to his stuff, but that's still a great item. Grumpy. That's the pre-stacker. Intimidating present. There's another debuff. Gruff. There's your gold find. And then he's got ultimate cooldown, right? Feat-wise, he's got the usuals that you would expect, but again, here we have adoptive father, so this is not a glitch feat. Mahan just counts as a tiefling, because he's an adopted father of tiefling. These two, Fashionably Grumpy and Scale and Horn, these are the ones that add a grumpy check. So Fashionably Grumpy is adjacent to 2 champions with skins equipped. Scale and Horn is only tiefling and or Dragonborn champions in his column. These are pretty easy to meet, I think. But I've been playing for a while. You have Grumpy feats. I don't know what we have him built up for, so I think gold fine. Grumpy feats, intimidating present. Grumpy is where you want to go, folks. Like, you want like a 40% Grumpy, and at some point they'll release an epic 80% Grumpy, and you want that. Gruff is for gold find. Expose weakness is the debuff. Specializations, again, that's solid stuff. All right, who's we gonna talk about? Let's talk about like one more champion. I got enough in me for one more champion, then we got to go to break. Let's talk about another OP champion since I flexed him. Let's talk about Will. Let's talk about Will. All right, Will is from the Absolute Adversaries. It has a lot of champions in it, but one thing I want to point out, and that confuses people. Absolute Adversaries were not built to all function together. Let's say that again for the people in the back. Absolute Adversaries was not built for them all to function together. Unlike other affiliations in this game, well, there is another one. Heroes of Baldur's Gate were not built to function together either. They can sort of. You can mix and match, right? And that's what you're doing here too. But it's like Baldur's Gate 3. They don't all really like each other. And they don't all really work together. So, so just understand that. But Will, real strong. Male, human, warlock, neutral good, support, pure support. basic attack is both magic and melee. That's what these symbols mean. He stabs the closest foe, then casts Eldritch Blast on the lowest health enemy. His ultimate is Mizora. Will's patron Mizora appears behind him for 15 seconds, increasing his attack rate and making him deal ultimate damage for the duration. This turns him into a secondary DPS. That's what him doing ultimate damage means. This is fantastic for killing armored bosses. Because his hits then, while she is out, if the bud is high enough, will remove a chunk off those armored bosses. Okay. Folk Hero is his main core buff that you build around. This is his build around. Will increases the damage of all champions that belong to the most represented species, class, and or affiliation, because it does them all. It's not just or. By an amount. And as you can see, this amount is modified pre-stack by an item. He has 4 pre-stack items that feed into pre-stack stuff. It's wrong. It's just wrong. If there's a tie, all tied groups gain the buff. This is important. This is one of the ways you build around him. And champions who are part of several groups can gain multiple stacks of the buff. That's the goal. Up to a max of 4 stacks. That's the goal. You're trying to build, when you're building Will, you're trying to build a 4-stack folk hero formation. Okay. They stack multiplicatively, buffs apply to the pre-stack value. Sounds like the fine print on an ad. Stacking multiplicatively, buffs apply to the pre-stack value. His other huge thing is Ceramorphosis. Your formation gains 1 Ceramorphosis stack due to the Mind Flayer, Tadpole, and Will's Brain. Will increases the effect of Folk Hero by a bunch for each Ceramorphosis stack, stacking multiplicatively. So this is pre-stack and feeds back into Folk Hero. Right? Ceramorphosis is an absolute adversaries feature. It's their affiliation feature. That doesn't mean they're the only ones with tadpoles, though. But they're the only ones that gain benefits from them. So, with this, building with some other absolute adversaries, but also including anyone who has a feat for a tadpole, getting as many tadpoles as you can for Ceramorphosis with some of the absolute adversaries is important. With some of them, it isn't at all. But for some of them, it boosts damage buffs. And for those, yes, please. Okay, a Heartless Contract. Fiends are Will's favored foes. Fa-fa-fa. All champions, Fiends' favored foes. All champions deal 400% more damage against Will's favored foes. So this is a 5x damage multiplier. It's nice, but the bigger deal is just that you're creating a favored foe mechanic here, and that can interact with, say, the heroes of Baldur's Gate. He also has something else it'll do. Bravado. Each time an enemy or distraction, those are those things that fly across the top of the screen or scuttle across the top of the screen or pop up out of bushes. Each time an enemy or distraction is defeated, Will increases the effect of Folk Hero by 25%, stacking multiplicatively up to 10 times until the area changes. So this, you can get 10 stacks of this, it's going to buff Folk Hero. Okay. Spec choices. Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Chain, Pact of the Tome. This is another one of those where the things will vary. The values here will vary. For Pact of the Blade, Will increase the effect of Folk Hero by an amount on champions with a melee base attack. This is a flat value. It doesn't matter how many there are. This down here, this melee champion's 3. This is a trap. This doesn't matter. This number doesn't matter. This is just you're getting 47, 43 if you're using a melee DPS. Please understand that. Pact of the Chain. Will increases the effect of Folk Hero by 10% for each familiar assigned to his party, stacking multiplicatively. The number matters here. Okay. Yes, I do have a table for this. The number matters here. How many familiars you can get out matters here. For someone like me who has all the not all the familiars, but who can fill all the familiar slots in a thing, this tends to be this is the best one. Pact of the Tome. Will increase the effect of Folk Hero by 25% for each champion in the formation with a magic base attack, stacking multiplicatively. So what you're trying to figure out is what can you on your account do? Can you beat this number, whatever it is for you, with the number of these or the number of these? Again, I got a table for that. All right. That's it. Item wise, damage all champions. Folk hero, big, pre-stack, gilded. Ceramorphosis, big, pre-stack, gilded. Bravado, it's also pre-stack. It's this. Well, it's also big. It's pre-stack. It feeds into. Look, this feeds into a pre-stack. Infernal contract. Oh, this is the packed things. And again, it familiars, stacks. It feeds into another thing that's pre. All of these 4 items feed into Folk Hero, which is a pre-stack ability. Folk Hero, I have not built this up very high, but I'm at E11. But that E11 was just for 1 stack, and then you're potentially stacking it 4 times. It gets a bit ridiculous. That's all I'm going to say. Feats. Put it this way: Will's buff, his ability to buff, makes nerds a viable DPS. And nerds were designed to never be viable. They were designed that way. And it makes them a viable DPS. It can also just make him a DPS, even though he's a support. He is part of this. If you build it right, he can be the DPS for you for more information and become part of the super secret DPS club. All right, damage all champions. We have Mazora's Pawns. He can count as a tiefling. This is not a glitch feat. He just counts as a tiefling. Well, actually, they call it a glitch. They have a glitch. They have Devil Will. You can give him a skin, but it's the lore thing. Also buffs Folk Hero by 80%. Guess what feat you should want in? I just recently got that, so I haven't put it up here. We'll put that where his strength thing is. All right. He can add favored foes. He can add constructs, and he can add undead with feats. He can force imp distractions to spawn regardless of the area. This is so that he can build up bravado everywhere. So if you run into areas where you have no distractions spawning and you can't kill anything, you can ramp up bravado to 10 stacks with that. It's a bit of a manual thing, but it's there. Here's Folk Hero. Here's Ceramorphosis. Heartless Contract, Bravado, Pact. Strength qualifies him for Zariel. Oh boy, so we only did 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Join me next week, folks, when I cover 9 champions. Oh boy. Oh boy. Next week's going to be interesting. All right, we're going to take a short a musical interlude. I'm going to drink some water and get ready for the questions. We've got 7. Question time, folks. Question time. Put your questions with question colon before them. Mars will grab them and throw them into my thing for the second half of the show. Again, we can talk about Wintershield. You can ask me questions about the other Flex champions. You can ask me questions about these champions. You can ask me just questions about the game, systems or champions. We'll do it. And then what do we listen to? We're gonna listen here in the break. We're gonna listen to Mahen's favorite song. Is Brimstone Angels Go Go Go. It's his daughter's song. Enjoy.
And I met the devil. It was a cold and stormy day. I was slightly disheveled, but I felt a spark there anyway. It taught me Eldritch Blast, and I was sure this love would last. They all told me no. He's the devil that I know. But now we're on the road, and we've got so far to go. Brimstone angels bound together, here to run the show. We'll hunt down all your foes, we'll punch them in the nose. Brimstone angels stand together. Go, go, go! summoned the devil. It was such a boring day. He wasn't that special. I was glad to walk away. But when we got kicked out, you needed me to bail you out. I raised my blade and sent devils to their grave. But now we're on the road, and we got so far to go. Brimstone angels got together, here to run the show. We'll hunt down all your foes, punch them in the nose. Brimstone angels stand together, go, go, go. Run someone before we find ourselves. From the mountain peaks to the lowest dungeon dells, I have your back through all of the 9 hells. Best of sisters. But now we're on the road, and we've got so far to go. Brimstone angels bound together, here to run the show. We'll hunt down all your foes, punch them in the nose. Brimstone angels stand together, go, go, go. Brimstone angels stand together, go, go, go.
That is so awesome. I teared up.
It is awesome. That is very awesome. That was Aaron M. Evans, the creator of the Brimstone Angels. Great books. Go out and pick them up. I got a hardback. It was showed up as a Christmas present, kind of as a Christmas present. It was part of a charity thing. She had some hardbacks of her books laying around, and those are difficult to find, folks. So I have a signed copy of one of the hardbacks of her books. Makes me very happy. All right, see a couple more questions coming in. Grab those, throw them in. Let me start off at the top. Where do you spend snowflakes? Okay. You come up here to the $sign for the store. You go over here to chests. You click on the champion from the event that you have unlocked. And up here there will be buy now. If you have 7,500 or more, it will let you buy 2 silvers or 1 gold. This is how you get gear. How you get gear, more gear for your champions. When you're opening that gear, I did forget to mention this. There is an efficient way to open gear for new event champions. Event champions, so champions you get out of events or time gates. Those are all event champions. You want to start with Electrum chests, because Electrum chests will drop gear. They drop gear for everyone that you own, but when you have a champion that has no gear, it acts as a magnet. That empty set of gear will act as a magnet and suck items from the Electrum chest onto them. You want to do that. You want to do that. So getting your free chests from codes like this gets you an Electrum. You save these up, use them. I save these up, use them during events. It's great. And the idea here is you want to use Electrums first, and then the named silvers. Like where's the name? These named silvers, like we were gearing my head. Because Electrums and silvers all drop white, green, and blue gear. The goal isn't to get to blue, though. If you do, that's great. But the idea just, happen to get lucky. The goal is to try to get green or better rarity on an event champion. Then start opening the golds. Because golds have rules specifically on what they'll drop. They'll drop an upgrade and they'll drop a blue. But the blue doesn't have to be the upgrade. But getting them to green or better first guarantees that the first 6 chests you open, you're either going to get a blue or a purple. Because you're guaranteed to get an upgrade. The upgrade can only go up to blue. So you're guaranteed to either get a blue, and then in the first 4 chests, you're going to get a purple. So out of your first 6 gold chests using this method, you'll end up with 5 blues and 1 purple minimum. And that is a viable champion out of an event. Fully viable champion on a new account. Okay. We we got a lot of stuff. The other thing to keep in mind is those are those free Tyrrell chests I got. Signing up for the newsletter gets you a newsletter chest each week. Please go do that. You sign up for the newsletter through the menu. They're just going to mail you free gear, and this week it was the potential group. Here we go. Included Mehen, Celeste, Makos, and Havilar and Frida. So another chance at Mehen gear just from signing up for the newsletter. But yeah, that's how. So if people were wondering why, if I click on the Swippy Swappy button and then search, and then down here where it says sort name at the bottom left, I click on the right arrow and it's going to sort by item level. This lets you look at the item levels of your champions. My Eric came in at 1947. It's from buying gear with those snowflakes and bounty contracts. My Mehen ended up at 1136. I dismantled him, and then I've been dumping gear on him. I'm going to keep dumping gear on him because he's worth it now. This is all just from gems. Like, here we go. I've got 1.5 million gems. I buy gold chests. I open those silver and gold chests. I get bounty contracts here, and when you pop these bounty contracts in an event, they drop snowflakes. All right, that's what we want. That's what we want. That's why we try to earn those. Chuck Race, do you get any special reward for completing tier 4 missions? For certain champions, yes. So if it is a featured champion, or if they have been a featured champion in the past, then next to chests and buffs there is a set of items other. For Eric, it's a pair of feats. For Mehen, it's a pair of feats. Sometimes it's legendary potions, sometimes it's pigments, but you'll note Will doesn't have that option. He hasn't been a featured champion. Rust has been a featured champion. Rust had a pair of feats, so you can see if there's extra stuff to earn. Legitimus, are the champion buffs from completing tiers permanent or just for the event? 60 days from the start of the event. You can see that here. So this is the event buff page. So you can see I've got Simral buffs still up. They're remaining for 22 days, 1 hour, because that started 60 days ago. Now we're 10 days into Wintershield. So I've got 50 days left on whatever I earn here. Okay. And then the event boons, they have their own timer. This is just to the end of the event, unless an augment dictates otherwise. So usually you'll have 2 sets of event buffs stacked up here. On occasion, the timing will allow there to be 3 for a very short window, which is wild. Strider X, I guess DM gave Eric a cursed artifact shield of missile attraction? Yes. And everybody thought he was a good person. Nicholas, how do I unlock more? Champions? The event. Flexing, again, it's come in, select the box, choose your champion. As the flex slots open, you can see another one unlocks. Now these 2 require 3 time gate pieces each, which do take a while to accumulate. You might not be able to do that if you're brand new. Also time gates up here. You can get every event champion that's ever been released. You can get just by saving up time gate pieces. There is nothing locked behind. There are no champions locked behind a paywall in this game. Ian Sam, who should I put into Mehen's variant to kill Modrons? Whoever you want. You're like Dahani, Dark Urge, someone else. Yeah, look, Dahani wants him. The Dark Urge wants him. Zorbu wants him. Toragar wants him. There's someone else. There might be someone else now. I'm blanking off the top of my head. Just sitting on a level and farming. There might be another permanent stacker, and I can't remember. But yeah, anybody that has permanent stacks off kills or on hit effects. Dahani's is on hit effects. Jang Sao. Oh yeah, Jang Sao drops stuff. Jang Sao drops. The problem with Jang Sao, yeah, and Jang Sao you have to do actively. She does not hit or miss earning stuff in the background. So all of this should be in an active formation like this. This is an active formation. You're looking at it. You set up those the Chumbawamba in that variant. They're all going to collect stuff. Ravenous Bebot, does Gem applying skins count for Fashionably Grumpy? It should. I haven't tested it, but there's no reason it wouldn't. It's just the check is just, do they have a skin equipped? Right? And It should. Yeah. F. Buxel describe 2 more champions this week for your own sanity next week. I don't know. We can wait. I mean, a couple of these champions will go real quick. Like Artemis, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about him. Vanderak, do you think you can use Will and Mehen in a birdsong formation? I mean, sure. You absolutely can. Now, are they going to be your optimal choices? That's a whole other story, right? You can use anyone you want in any formation. Yeah. I don't know. So that's about all I can say there. El Jefe, is there a set of breakpoints for item levels? Sort of. We could use as a guide when we have many champions to level up. Yeah, sort of. We can talk about that. Alternately, is it better? Nothing is ever absolute in this game. That's true. It always depends. To focus on 1 or 2 champions to item level X and then move on to another. Okay, so I think there's breakpoints, personally. And I have come up with my opinion on this, because it's not, again, this is very subjective. But my experience over 7 years has led me to believe that this is true. I believe there are certain breakpoints you can shoot for when trying to get reach item level targets. Some of them are mathematically supported, some of them are just the experience of playing the game. So I start a new player account at least once a year. I have ever since I started. And I've tried a lot of different things on how to focus, like blacksmithing contracts and stuff, and gearing. And so this is what I've come up with. So this is a function of, when we're talking about this is a function of obviously earning stuff in events, but also of how you spend your blacksmithing contracts. Generally speaking, the first 100 item levels for each item in the game is the strongest return on investment. Just from the way diminishing returns kicks in immediately, but from the way the math has been explained, the first 100 levels are the big return. And there is kind of a breakpoint there are breakpoints for, if you're thinking in large terms, 100 is a breakpoint, and then 1,000 is a breakpoint, and then 10,000 is a breakpoint on a large scale. But that's not necessarily something that you are going to experience as a newer player, even as a mid-game player. And it can be rough for a while, even in the late game, until you get a super big gem farm going. So, functionally speaking, when you start a new account, the first thing you think about is just getting your rarity of gear set up. And again, 5 blues, 1 purple. That's the minimum you can get out of an event. From doing what I said with gold, with electrums into silvers and then gold chests, 5 blues and 1 purple, because of the way the pity timer works on gold chests. That is a fully functional champion, even in single-digit item averages, because of the scaling on that gear. Now, at that point, when you start building up blacksmithing contracts, the first kind of breakpoint that I shoot for and find super successful is 50 average item levels on event champions. You never use blacksmithing contracts on your core and evergreens. They're going to get plenty of item levels just from you earning gems, buying chests, opening chests. That's how they get their gear. You don't have to worry about them. So, 50 average item levels. And I target that first on speed champions that have an item for their speed effect. 50 average item levels. But speed champions in general, whatever your speed team is, because I think there's 3 teams to build. A speed team, a pushing team, and a gold find team. Speed champions first. The reason for this is when you're early on in the game, you can absolutely just complete content with primarily or completely speed champions. Especially if they have 50 average item levels. It's a good chunk of power. And they're all blue or better gear. It's a good chunk of power. And the faster you're completing content, the more gems you're earning. So thus, the more power and progression you're earning. because that's gems are just a huge thing in the game. So I do it on my speed team first, and then I follow that up once I have the speed team set up and earning a lot of gems. I then pump 50 average item levels into my pushing team. And that is so that when I run into an adventure or variant, usually it's a variant, that needs a lot more power than what that speed team is able to provide, I can then, once the speed team kind of walls out, I can switch over to the pushing team and finish what I'm doing. Those 50 average item levels were enough, along with the other sorts of power you just regularly accumulate during the game, were enough on my last new account playthrough to push to go all the way into the mid game, unlock trials, and push all the way up through tier 6 of trials without any issue. I think I could have done tier 7 as well, just with those 50 average item levels and blue or better gear. It was just with the champions I had, it was a great combination. My next target would have been to take my speed champions up to 100 average item levels, and then the pushing champions up to 100 average item levels to continue flying through higher area goal stuff with the speed team and doing deep pushes in trials with that with the pushing team. I probably would have tried to also put some more average item levels into the gold find team. I never made it that far. But only on the gold find team, it's only if a champion has item support for gold find, which isn't always a thing. So yeah. I think those work really well. Now, after 100, it's you kind of need to focus on what your needs are on your account. Do you want to start getting other champions up to 50? Like, there's an argument for getting all of your champions, like what I call an average item level floor on your account, up to 50, so that if you have to use them in a variant, they come in with a decent amount of power. There's an argument for that. But I think it's really, at that point, you're heavily into the mid game, and you need to determine what you need to continue your progression in the mid game. It may be that you want to invest more power into your pushing team to get to tier 10 of trials. It may be that 100 average item levels is fine because you're also getting legendary effects and leveling up your legendary effects, so you don't need to deal with your item levels. Legendary effects are way more power. You'll also have Modron cores that add more power. There's a lot of other forms of power you start accruing in the and really building up in the mid game that make it so that the item levels, while important long term, you don't necessarily have to super invest right away. As long as you're able to complete tier 10 of trials on rotation with a team, that's kind of your goal. So you may need to put more item levels into your pushing team. And then kind of in that time, you'll also start deciding as you finish adventures, all the regular base adventures and variants in the game, that's your major source of gem income early on. You're then going to have to start investing in your speed team, like in figuring out a good speed team and raising item levels in that speed team, so that when you're not actively doing, progressing in variants or doing things, you can gem farm. And it could be a regular gem farm or a automated Briv gem farm. These are two different things. Your gem gain will then go through the roof. But that's more of I find that I've tried to target that early on, as early as possible, like race to a gem farm, and found that it severely inhibits your general progress in the game. Basically, you put all your progress on hold while you build up a gem farm, and then try to distribute those gems out so it's like a big plateau. You plateau in your power and progress for a long time, and then the gem farm gets to a point where you can start spending those gems somewhere else other than reinvesting them back in the gem farm, and then your progress goes up. If you want that kind of delay, okay. I find just progressing through the game generates enough gems, and then later on you can focus on the gem farm, and then when you're AFK you can then start skyrocketing. So like right now I earn a little over 1 million gems a day with just speed potions. I don't use, not counting the gem hunter potion. A little over 1 million a day with my gem farm. That's an automated Briv gem farm. And that's a four jump briv. These are some things that maybe new players aren't going to understand, but just know that that's the kind of stuff you're shooting for. I think late game. So I think there's new player, early game, mid game, late game, and then end game is after you've done all the content and all you're doing is your trials and any new content that drops and events and gem farm, right? This is a late game kind of gem farm push. And I'm working on getting a higher jump briv. A higher jump briv will make that 1 million. It'll give me even more. It's ridiculous in the late game, folks. So at this point for me, this is what I'm trying to get to. At this point for me, my average item level floor is 300 across all champions in the game. As you can see, the lowest is at the bottom. Lowest I have is over here is Yorvin at 301. So Yorvin has an average item level of 301, right? Whereas, my highest item levels are going to depend. Like the highest ones are going to be obviously your core and evergreens, because of the way they accrue gear out of chests. So if we ignore those and we just look at event champions, you'll see like I've got a lot of pre-stackers, the people with these mathematically OP abilities, up at 1,000. Or close to it. Basically, I try to get whatever their pre-stack item is to 1,000 or higher. Speed champions will be pretty high because I go up and I try to cap their speed effects if they have a cap. Eric and Stokey came out because of these gem farms I'm doing. I use all my bounty contracts every event, and so they're generating a ridiculous amount of bounty contracts, and they're ending up real high power. So I've got to come up with a different way to do that. Briv is just going to keep going. He's currently average 5,000, but because of his speed item, he's going to go much higher soon. Here's a pre-stacker. Caddy Breeze, just awesome. Speed effect. This is just awesome champion. It's still not to 1,000, but she could use it. Speed effect. This is a mop. This is a pre-stacker and a pre-stacker, right? So pre-stackers, I'm trying to get to 1,000 or better. That's my current breakpoint. That will be the next thing I will do. I have a lot of them there. The ones that I usually use, I have there. Once I get my Briv to a 9 jump, I'm almost to a 7. That'll snowball into 8 pretty quickly, and 8 will snowball into 9 pretty quickly. So once he's at 9, I'm going to then start distributing. All of my pre-stackers will have 1,000, and then I'll start bumping up my average item level floor. We'll go to 501, because that's the ungilded cap for a ultimate cooldown reduction. Eventually, they'll probably end up at 1,000, and the pre-stackers will go higher, right? Like it's an ever continuing creep. And depending on what you're focusing on, if you're building around lots of pre-stackers, dumping those item levels into the reason we call this mathematically overpowered is because it is a multiplicatively stacking ability, and items and feats feed into the pre-stack multiplier. This gets around, there's still diminishing returns, but it's not the same. It effectively means with diminishing returns, you get to a point where adding more item levels doesn't really do much at all. But with one of these pre-stack items, with a champion that has pre-stack items, continuing to dump item levels into them continues to pay off fairly solidly up until much higher value. 1,000 is easy. 1,000 is usually where they really come online and are really strong. But you can get them up to 10,000 before they start falling off, and again, they don't even start falling off in the same way, right? So yeah, but lots of different things to think about. But early on, when you're first starting, you're just trying to get to blue or better gear. Then you're trying to get to 50 average item levels on very specific people. Then you start chasing 100, and you start trying to get full epic. Other things to think about. It all kind of layers in, right? That starts getting into the mid game. And there's a lot of layers in the mid game. Blue Steel Wheels, you covered Will, but did you mention his dad's folk hero interaction? No, because that's a function of his dad. That's honestly because that's a function of his dad. Here's Duke Ravengard. This is Will's dad. Duke Ravengard has a specialization choice that can add a folk hero stack to Will. To Will's to the people that qualify. Here, hold on. Let me get the specific wording because I never use it. Here it is. If Will is in the formation, anyone affected by Will's folk hero benefit gains an additional stack, but the maximum remains at 4. So this is a way. This only works with a melee DPS. Well, it should only work with a melee DPS because Duke Ravengard only buffs melee DPS. So if you're using him to get an extra stack for a non-melee DPS, feels like a waste. But congratulations on 4 stacks. You got to do the math and figure it out. But sure, if you can normally get to 3 and then he can add a 4th, it opens up, basically he just opens up a lot more options for you with Will. But again, that's not a function of Will, that's a function of Duke Ravengard. Shiny one, can Mahen work well with Eric Goldfind spec? Sure, I mean Goldfind, any champions with Goldfind can work well together to gold farm. Like to get gold. They're not necessarily, it's a different thing from do they push well together? Because when you're talking about gold farming, oddly enough, that has nothing to do with pushing power. I do have a Gold Find 101, a Gold Farming 101 guide up on the subreddit. And it breaks down kind of the current 3 metas of gold farming. One is Azaka farming. One is Makos bombing. Excuse me, different M champion. Makos bombing, which came back with the Sergeant Nox change. And then the one that I use because it's low effort, high reward. What we call dirty gold farming or bud farming. Bud gold farming. And in those none of those require, well, Makos bombing requires that you spike your DPS and then do something. But Azaka farming requires no DPS. Dirty gold farming, that team isn't about DPS. So just combining lots of gold find, Mahen and Eric are now great additions to like a dirty gold farm team. As well as an Azaka farm team, as well as a Makos bomb team. Yeah. Absolutely. Dirty with 2 R's, not 2 T's. 2 R's. Dirty. Ryan Rich, what item levels are suggested for Will and Artemis? I am not an Artemis chaser. I do not cloud chase Artemis. I don't. Yeah. I understand objectively, I know that Artemis has the highest potential damage in the game. But I also know that doesn't mean anything to the majority of players because you need 1,000 average item levels for Artemis to really come online. A lot of people will tell you that you don't, that you can use Artemis, that Artemis is better at lower item levels. I don't know what to tell you. I had like a 700 item level shiny or golden, 700 golden flute on Artemis, which is the item that you want. 700 item levels on it. And I straight up showed on stream. I compared formations and power, and there were people that only had 200 and 300 item levels as a DPS that were more powerful than Artemis at 700. He takes off around 1,000, and his supports, all the people supporting him in that formation also have to have a lot of item levels too. He is a late game DPS. I don't mess with him. He's just, I don't know. I don't like it, so I'm not going to make any suggestions about that. Just know he's a black hole. He wants tons, but he also wants certain values for everybody else in the formation. You can find those ratios in the Discord, in the official Discord. For Will, I don't build formations around Will. Again, he's going to take off at 1,000 average. He's going to really take off at 1,000 average item levels because again, he's a pre-stack. Pre-stackers really take off. First 100 is strong for everyone. Pre-stacker, when you hit 1,000, it's big. Big difference comparatively. Yeah, I don't know. So again, and it's also a function of, I don't know, how many gems do you generate? How many item levels in blacksmithing contracts do you generate regularly? You may not want to go all in on him, because if he gets restricted out, all of your time and energy investing stuff into him just went out the window because you can't use him, right? So you gotta figure that out. Again, the whole breakpoint thing I just did. There you go. Scraggs. I'm a new player. Welcome to the game. Started during the Halston event. Taking your advice on filling bench seats for split the party progress, that is the quickest way for you to progress and gain overall power, is aim for split the party. Currently working on split the party 3. That one, okay. Split the party 1 and 2 are the big ones, and you did that. Congratulations. Split the party 3, you don't have to race toward, because that's the magic core, and the core that's important is the fast core, and you got it. So make sure the fast core is the core that you're using and that you're trying to level up. So using it in your active party. Use your modest core to automate a background party to generate some free gems in the background. Work on that fast core. You don't have to race towards split the party 3, but making choices towards that is good. Who's the most versatile between Viconia, Morgaine, Artemis, and Barrowin? Barrowin is the most versatile. Again, Artemis is a DPS. He's a pure DPS, and he needs a lot of item levels. Barrowin is more versatile as a tank support. Morgaine is pretty versatile. She would probably come in second. Barrowin and Morgaine can work with just about anybody. But Barrowin's probably the better option there. And Viconia is niche. She only buffs Heroes of Baldur's Gate or evil DPS. So Barrowin, top of that list for versatility, then Morgaine, then Viconia, and again, I think Artemis is a late game champion. I don't think you really got to worry about. He becomes a bit of a trap, I think, for new players. But other people are going to vehemently deny that and call me horrible names simply because I believe something different than they do about a subjective thing. Shocker. Shiny one. Should I use time gate pieces to get free and Havilar to synergize with Mehen? Is it worth it? No, not currently. Sorry, Frida and Havilar. I love you both, but they both need reworks to come into the new current power system. So I wouldn't spend. That's 12 time gate pieces. I would say no. I don't know where you are in the game, but if you're late game, sure, but they're not going to be. I tried to build a formation with the 3 of them the other day, and it's just Frida's still not the strongest. She's okay, but she's not super strong as a DPS, and Havilar is not super strong as a tank. So they can't go super far. They're fine for early game, but early game there's still better options for you to choose to spend 12 time gate pieces on. Captain Wiggly, I'm starting to get to the point of the game where I need to invest. I want to be clear though, if you just want to play with the Brimstone Angels, that's your formation, go for it. I need to get that in there, because play the game however you want to play the game. And if you want to be an Artemis main, go be an Artemis main. Just know I'm not the person to come to with questions about Artemis. Or War Duke. I don't care about either of them. Captain Wiggly, I'm starting to get to the point of the game where I need to invest resources into one champion. Are you though? How do I know what champion to lean into on my account? I'm hoping that the conversation we were just having lets you know that you don't just dump into a single champion. Here's why, and I kind of mentioned this. If that champion is ever restricted out of any variant, you've lost your entire investment for that variant. You get to use it in other places, sure, but... So here's what I will say. When you're in the mid game and beyond, you lean into buffing, like dumping resources into the team that you use for trials. And yes, there are different restrictions, but usually the core of that team is similar. Figure out what it is and figure out who the other swaps are that you bring in. There's your investment, because you're trying to get them to the point where they can very easily, and efficiently complete tier 10 of trials. So, 4 to 5 days. 4 to 5 days. Instead of it taking 7, you want to at least do it in less than 6 days, like 6 days or less, so that because you can technically finish in 6 days and immediately restart instead of waiting like in the old way. So you want to be recycling trials as quick as possible, because those scales and the legendary effects they upgrade are the biggest power source in the game. So you want to invest in that group of champions first. One of the ways that you do this is by investing in speed champion, right? Because again, it all comes back to speed. The faster you can earn gems, the more gems you can make, the more gold chests you can buy, which means the more bounty contracts and blacksmithing contracts that you get, you can then dump those, in an event, bounty contracts and a new champion's blacksmithing contracts into ramping up speed effects on your speed champions. That is a snowball that, until you have everybody kind of capped or at a point that you're happy with, will keep increasing and make your gem gain climb. And then you can distribute lots more of those item levels to lots more champions. Right? Oh, did caption say 45 days? No, 4 to 5 days. There we go. Blackbeard, I only have 6 time gate pieces. No speed champions. Okay. Total of 28 champions unlocked. Wow, you got 28 in without any speed champions. Well, you've got Minsk. So you have a speed champion. Should I use 3 time gate pieces together in an event champion? Yes. Or use 6 to get speed champions? Well, I get what you're going at here, but really, it's the event. Use your time gate pieces efficiently. I'm hoping that you have patrons unlocked, and you're buying when you unlock a patron, the one thing you want to spend your money on every week. I don't need to, because I've got over 900 time gate pieces. But early on, you buy a time gate piece from each patron each week. There's 2 things you buy. When you unlock a patron, there's only 2 things you buy. The first is your time gate piece. The second is, it's not here because I bought it this week, is the Modron component chest. When you're new, even through the mid game, shouldn't be spending your patron currency really on anything else. I mean, you can if you want, but make sure you're always buying your time gate piece and your Modron chest first, and using any leftover currency for anything else. That is think of that as your electric bill and your grocery bill each week. Like that's where the money goes first. Because you got and rent, I guess, the things that are keeping you alive in this game. You only have Mert. Well, yeah, okay. So if you have Mert and you have the tier 5 global and Tomb of Annihilation, turn back time, that means you should be generating 3 time gate pieces each week. That means you'll generate. You can purchase. You can get a time gate. You can flex a time gate or an event champion with your time gate pieces. And on Monday you'll be able to earn 3 more. Basically every week you're earning 3. You should be fine. In the off weeks that the events aren't running and that you don't need to spend on the event, you can run time gates. And you'll want to start picking up speed champions. I have a guide. Speed Champions 101. Some speed champions are better when you first get them than others. I think Diana is an amazing first pick. Also, if you don't have Eliwick yet, that's going to be a next pick. She's not a speed champion, but she generates gems, and you're going to need them. Diana and Eliwick are now my current recommendations for brand new players. If they pop up an event or a time gate where you're going to spend cash on the game, try to get those 2 champions. They're real quick off the bat. Neither of them need a lot of item levels to start producing, and that's what you need. Buff by Daylight, where's the guide for the gem farm? On the subreddit? The bot should be. Oh no, it's Gar underscore. God dang it. I don't normally do this myself. Gar underscore guides. The bot is not behaving. Okay, hold on. Oh, there it is. But there's the gem farming 101. There's the gem farming 101. But that first, the link from the bot is the link to all of my guides for Idle Champions. There's over 180. 180. There's a lot of guides there. There's one for every champion. There's a bunch for systems. These 101 guides, you don't understand what 101 means. It basically means an introductory course. It's not going to be comprehensive, but it's going to introduce you to these things. I have them listed there in the order that I kind of think is important as a brand new player. So it starts off with Terminology 101, then Formation Strategy, Tanking, Bud, Items, Consumables, Blacksmithing Contracts, Gold Farming, Blessings, Feats, Time Gates, Speed Champions, Patrons, Progression, Gem Farming, Trials, and the Forge. I also have a guide called the New Player Reference, and it is basically, I built it from all of my experience starting new accounts. It will hold your hand and walk you through and introduce you to all the concepts you need. So from day one of your play, solidly into the mid game. From there, hopefully you have learned how to figure out how to prioritize things. Because I don't have anything from beyond that. I do new player stuff basically, or first time you're interacting with systems. Vanderak, sorry I didn't hear you well. What did you say about Eric Stokey and gem farming? I didn't say anything about Stokey. I said Eric and Mehen are great for gem farming. Or gold farming, excuse me. Not gem farming. None of those. I didn't say anything about those champions with gem farming, to be clear. Eric and Stokey are gold find champions for gold farming. Gem farming is a speed champion function. They are not speed champions. So I'm not sure beyond that what the context of the question was. Shiny was asking for trying to get to area 1000 for Eric for pushing power. Go back and find. Oh, picking Farida and Mehen? Farida and Havlar to go with Mehen? No. Or if that was in regards to Mehen working well with Eric, I mean, that's a gold fine thing. Again, pushing power is... There are a lot of things that go into pushing power. It isn't just your champions. Okay? You got to remember this. So sources of power in the game. Obviously, a champion and their abilities, right? And then gear and their feats and item levels. But that is just a champion-specific focus of power. That is one focus of power. One pillar of power. Favor is another. Favor gives you two different things. Favor will give you blessings for a campaign, right? That's the local blessings and the ones on the left. And global blessings for everyone else. They're small, but they add up because there's a lot of campaigns. Okay? So, and then the other thing that Favor does is provides you with gold find in a run, right? So, but that's limited. Once you can get a champion to the soft cap, the upgrade soft cap, which is this 0 with a line through it, getting more favor doesn't increase your pushing power like it did before, because you're not getting those massive upgrades of power. Okay. So champion power, favor gives you blessing and gold, right? Patron perks. Patron perks are another form of power. This is by doing patron variants and getting influence. You spend that influence here, and you get lots of power. Again, local, global. Local means when you're doing that patron stuff. Global means everywhere. Again, they're small. They can be kind of smaller. They're better than blessings in most cases, but not all. But they all add up, right? So patron perks is another one. Modron cores. So your Modron cores, when you unlock them, this is the fast core. This is a powered down version of the fast core. But as you level it up, this is a level 15, and then pipe it, you can get the flow up, ideally red. Supercharged is the ideal situation. Not all cores can be fully supercharged, but only a couple of them can. But getting them as much power as possible, building these buff boxes and creating this flow, gets you an entire stack of buffs that, based on the champion, can be of different amounts. Like, how good is it going to be? There's a lot of different cores. There's better for some champions than others. You got to figure that out based off what you're building, right? So that's another kind of pillar of power. Then we go the legendary system, right? Legendaries. Don't do what I did. Look, I do things sometimes just because it makes me happy. That doesn't mean that it's efficient. I've legendaried everybody with level 1s. But that isn't really any power. It's a little bit of power. They're tiny, like here, damage all champions 100%. Well, that's great. I mean, they're all going to have a little kind of a bonus, and 10 champions with 6 bonuses, it's 60 bonuses, right? But where you get power from the legendary system is getting up to level 5s. Level 5 is a solid chunk of power. Let me find a good example of they're an all champions damage bonus in here. No, of course not. I was looking for the generic one, which is usually the lowest. But what I find is the 5th upgrade, if you can get a champion to 5s, full 5s, that is a solid source of power. The buff you get varies, right? I think that first, that's kind of a break point for these and getting you power. You can push through trials and farm trials with 5s. It's fine. 10 is another step up from there. 20 is the max, but that's ridiculous power. There's nothing in the game that requires it. People just like it. I think aiming for 5s is better. And if I could do it all over again, if I could refund all of these and get my scales back, I would shoot for 5s. I would do it on everybody. I wouldn't have 10s. I'd be shooting for 5s on everybody. But that's another source of power, right? And it's the biggest. The legendaries are the biggest bucket of pushing power. And then there's pigments. So like here on Brivs, this item, I have a blue pigment and a green pigment. That is a tanking pigment and a support pigment. The tanking pigment boosts his health. The support pigment boosts party damage. There's also DPS pigments that boost that champion's damage, and healing pigments that boost the healing that the party receives in general, not just from that champion. So pigments are another source of power now that are in the game that you accrue over time. You need combinations of this to start pushing beyond like 600, like 500 and 600 when it comes to area. Again, and you don't want to just focus on any one. You want to be trying to, as you can get all of them, boost them all in terms of all these different pillars, so that they're all progressing. Because that's what's going to get you past 1,000. That's going to get you to 1,200, 1,000 for like tier 3 variants, 1,600 for tier 4. The new area hard cap in the game is 2,501. Takes a lot. That takes a lot of legendaries. More than 5 legendary levels. Shabak, I'm new to the game and don't know what to buy with gems. Chests. But I already have all the cheap familiars. Next one is 70k. Gold chests. Are gold chests worth it? They're huge. They're the best thing you can buy. Familiars are just quality of life. They don't give you any power. Gold chests give you power. Buy gold chests, open them. Don't save up for big purchases unless you know that you can have that amount of gems within 5 days or less. Otherwise, it's just going to slow your progress down too much. To figure out how many gems you earn in a 24-hour period, just spend all your gems, and then the next 24 hours from that point, how many gems do you have from regular play? Times that times 5. If that's 70k, you could have that next familiar. If it's not, just keep buying gold chests and check that calculation once a week. At some point, it's going to work. Just the way this game works. Godspool, so I took a month off and set up a gem farm on my 3 teams. I now have 1.3 million gems. Nice! What should I buy? You have all gem purchase familiars. Gold chests. Here's the thing. First check to see, are there any of your speed champions that have speed feats that you don't have? Just the speed feats. Either 12.5k speed feats or 50k speed feats. Check that first. But if you have all of those, gold chests. 1.3 million worth of gold chests. Start investing item levels into speed champions that have items. Maxi Hubert, question. An idea to convince me to let go of my new account. I'm not a collector, but I feel bad for abandoning it. like if you started a new account just to, have some fun trying the new game again because it can be fun, just know you can always start another one. I like to start new ones around the time of some major change in the game that might affect how the new game, how new players interact with the game. So there's an apothecary and notary system that they've said coming in Q1. Just know that, hey, you're going to start. You could start a new one again after that, and it'll be a whole different game potentially. Last time I updated was after the guide and collection quests came out, and after events, and it also happened to coincide with events 2.0. The guide and collection quests didn't really do much for the new player experience. Very tiny marginal change, but events 2.0 made a huge difference. So to me, that's what I do, and I usually just I take my new accounts just into the mid game, and then I stop. I never try to play the full game with a new account. I've got an account here that I haven't done all of this stuff with. I got over 100 Mert variants to go, 170 Vajra, 170 Strahd, 100 Zerial, 400 Elminster. At some point this year, I've got to start the patrons. Start grinding on the patrons. Phrasing. Yeah. That's it, folks. We made it. We made it, and my internet didn't disappear. Now I got to go check and see if the roads are clear. We had about 5 inches of snow a couple days ago. And the melting and things are, and then refreezing overnight has been causing issues. So we'll see. We'll see. Because, I got to get groceries tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Streams on this channel will resume. They usually resume Tuesdays. I stream over on my channel then. Though, there's my name. You can click my name in chat and toss me a follow. It'll tell you then when I go live. I usually stream Mondays through Fridays. Monday and Wednesday specifically, idle chatter about idle champions. Sometimes I make guides over there. I also play other games. Currently, I'm being a dwarf in Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which is the auto shooter version of that game. Get my dwarf on because I love dwarves. Yeah. So more Idle Champions content over there. Also, again, check out my guides over on the subreddit. They exist just to help you if you have questions, even when these streams aren't going. I've got a guide for most things. Again, I don't make definitive guides to things. I introduce you to concepts, and I am the person who tries to teach you how to fish, not that just hands you fish. So I try to break down all the champions. I just did a pass at the end of last year. All 143, 144 now champion guides have been updated. They all have the events 2.0 information that I know, especially for these current Wintershield champions. They have all the buffs listed. They have tables for spec choices that have more tables. They have tons of notes about how abilities work, so you kind of understand what's going on with the abilities. It looks like a lot of information. It's because, look, that's how I present it. I present you with a whole amount of information. I let you educate yourself so you can make informed decisions. I try to just point you to things and give you tips here and there. Because this game is a formation strategy management. It is a puzzle game, and if you don't understand how the pieces work, it's very hard to play the puzzle, right? Yeah. Last couple of questions. From Captain Wiggly, are Corrupted Gems worth getting feats with, or should I use them for something else? Support pigments are the best thing, but it depends on the feats. That's a much deeper question than it looks like at the top, but usually support pigments are the best way to spend it. King, what champions can I get with a scroll of champion summoning? Is it any champion? You want to target event champions, and you probably want to pick speed champions if you're brand new. Again, I have a Speed Champions 101 guide for that. Diana is a great pickup. Eliwick is a great pickup, not a Speed Champion. But if you're new, those two are, I think, the two I recommend to start. And brew me with the last question of the day, because we're out of time. I just started with the game. Can I even beat Wintershield quests to get Eric and so on? Yes, absolutely. Brand new players can unlock the champions at a very minimum. But you can also play through and do tier 1 of the adventures. I highly recommend hitting my guide up. I'm going to put this link in chat again. Clicking my guide, find the guide, scroll down to the event guides, click on Wintershield. It has links to Eric's guide and Mahen's guide. Those are the 2 champions you should get. It has suggested formations in there for brand new players and tips. Okay. And then chat with the community. But you absolutely can do it. Yeah. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Mars, for grabbing the mod slot. We're going to get out of here. Sorry, we're a little late. The song we're going out on is Baloth the Entertainer, because he is one of our flex champions this event. Enjoy.
Ladies and gents, welcome to the Black Pits. Best show in all the realms. Here is your host, provider of the smash hits, Baloth Baratil, one of the world's top 5 spellcasters, slayer of Tiamat and fake Hal Laster, chaotic evil but averts disaster. He is the underdog's greatest ringmaster, Baloth the Entertainer. His empire's vast and it's wide, even extra player. Baloth the Entertainer. Just sign on the line and you're on a retainer. Baloth the Entertainer. He'll make you a star. He is the chosen of the Raven Queen, served by the noble Jim Disease. He's got the illest hound you've ever seen. He is the shadow sorcerer supreme. He's got the wand of Orcus in his glass, stolen from him by the goddess mask. He hangs it with his body glass. His favorite pet is his giraffe. Baloth the Entertainer. His empire's vast and it's wide, even extra player. Baloth the Entertainer. Just sign on the line and you're on the retainer. Baloth the Entertainer. He'll make you a star. If you want a part to play in this game, come to the pits, grab yourself an amp, ignore the danger and the pain. There's glory to be had, fighting in its name. Baloth the Entertainer. His empire's vast and it's wide, even extra player. Baloth the Entertainer. Just sign on the line and you're on a retainer. Baloth the Entertainer. Enjoy the show.
Fantastic.
That was the clip.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm,
clip.
I'm so thrilled. I'm so very thrilled.